I'm tired of tweeting about that topic, so I'm just going to make a video about it instead today, so that's why we're here. Twitter discourse is kind of a bit of a nightmare, and the site isn't really built for those kinds of discussions to end up being meaningful in any capacity, so the video form is much better for this. Today I want to talk about Splatoon 3 and why I think it really needs league battles, and why I personally think it needed to introduce league battle before X rank. So, good morning. Again, it's Keen. I haven't uploaded in a minute. It's been busy and rough for the past few weeks. I got sick for a week, which I had a video that I mentioned that. If you're new and you don't know me, I'm a player who's done competitive for Splatoon 2, and I'll likely be doing it for Splatoon 3 once a patch comes and updates the game to make Splash-O-Matic not in its own XXX tier, basically, so that'll be soon, hopefully. We'll see. Let me preface this by saying check the upload date of this video in case you're watching it in the future, because we do know that Splatoon 3 will have League Battle. This is like a current topic kind of thing that I wanted to discuss, so if you think I'm crazy, just double check the date. That's fine. So at this very moment, there is no League Battle in Splatoon 3. As of the making of this video, the recording of it, and I'm going to talk about why I think that it's incredibly important for League Battle to be added as soon as possible to this game. So to start from the top, if you're sitting there, especially as a player who might be new to Splatoon 3 and didn't play 2, you're probably wondering what the heck is League Battle. So first of all, let me say, welcome, I hope you're having fun with the game. And if you don't know what League is, I'm going to go over it real quick to give you the rundown. League battles are basically a separate queue in Splatoon 2, similar to series or open in Splatoon 3, where you pretty much had 2 hours, one rotation as it is now, to play an individual map rotation in a mode with either a twin, which would be a group of 2, or a quad, which is a group of 4. You can hop in and play at any point, at the start of the hour or any of that. You can play for 20 minutes, not even get a power. You can play for 2 hours and try and grind it. Either way, it's fine. It didn't really matter. Based upon how much you win or lose, you're given a league power. In order to get your league power into, you had to play 7 games. Those are your placement games. And you'd be given that number. If you won 5, lost 2, then you get a number. The number goes up and down depending on how many you win or lose, and you'll get more points for winning games that are harder that the game doesn't think you're supposed to win. You'll get less for winning games that are supposed to be easy for you, and you'll lose a ton if you lose a game the game thinks you're supposed to win. That's the gist of it at its core. And as someone who has way too many hours in Splatoon 2, and even now I have a lot in Splatoon 3, I'm going to say that most of my hours, honestly speaking, outside of before I started streaming especially, most of my hours in Splatoon 2 went into League Battle. I'll show a clip here in a second where I'm looking at the app and you can see how many medals I have. Keep in mind you only get 1 medal per rotation, so you can do the math on this and you can see that I've clearly played over like 1,000 League Battles or something. I'm not looking at the number right now, but I definitely remember it was more than that. So I played it a lot, so I can say that with pretty good confidence that that's where most of my hours went into it. So now comes the question, where is it in Splatoon 3? I mentioned it before, but they said it's coming in the future, but I think it's really a shame in that Splatoon 3 is really missing out by not having this in the game already, and I think it's a huge mistake that it's not there from day one, and I'm going to talk about why. When it comes to PvP, player v player, i.e. the online mode you access via the lobby where you're playing against other players, be it series, open, X rank, all of that. When it comes to the PvP, the options to play in Splatoon 3 with a friend or even a team kinda suck right now, to be honest. I've talked endlessly about this on my stream, about my dislike of open at the moment, so I'll kind of quickly go over why I'm not a fan of open. In Splatoon 3's Anarchy Open, you can queue in alone with a group of 2, 3, or 4, it doesn't matter. Regardless of your group size, the game will pair you with someone to fill in the gap so you can play an opponent. So in a surface level, you might say, that sounds kind of similar to League, right? No, that's wrong. I wish it was like League. The thing with Open is, regardless of the group size you're playing at, there is no limitation as to who your opponent could be. So this leads to extreme rank discrepancies and skill differences in every single lobby you go into. It is completely random. If you're queuing into Open alone as a single player, you can queue in with, a bunch of B ranks or something like that, and you can find an opponent that is 4 stack of competitive players, and you will get absolutely destroyed. This isn't odd for Open. This is pretty much the norm in terms of just, it's really unbalanced. And yeah, if you're questioning, did you hear that right? Yes, you can be playing Open alone by yourself, queue up with newer players that just want to play the game, and be forced to fight some of the best players in the world in one group, because again, as of the moment, this is the only way to play PvP online with your friends. So if someone's doing a 4 stack of their very competitive friends because they want to play the game, they have no other option. They have to go here, outside of, scrims or a tournament or something. So it's not unusual to have these kinds of scenarios. Now, losing in itself, that's fine and all. That's not the problem. It comes from how kind of ridiculously unbalanced and unfun Open can be as a result. That's the thing. Again, Open is the only way to easily play with your friends online in like ranked battles or anything like that. There's Turf War, but that's its own thing. When it comes to ranked modes, you have to play Open. That is your only option. Every time I've tried to play it with friends in a group of 2 or 3, similar to, just a twin, or if we have 3 and we're missing a 4th, scenarios like this pop up really, really often in Open. And it makes me kind of sit there and wonder, why is the only way to play with my friends right now in a team-based game feel so punishing and unbalanced every single game? Because if I play with too few people, I can be punished because we'll be 3 and have a newer player as our fourth against a full team of 4 that's very, very strong at the game. If I play with my friends in a team of 4, I can't help but feel bad for my opponent, because it could be plenty of people that are also just new to the game or lesser experienced, and, you know, that kind of leads to really one-sided games that can end in, you know, literally 30 seconds, and it's just not really engaging at all. Don't get me wrong, I've seen stuff like this in 2 with League Battle. I've definitely seen in twins and quads, you know, times where I see a 1600 opponent when I'm sitting at 24 or something. That's not unusual, but it's much less frequent, and that's the thing. So it's much more of a sense of the game actually, you know, making the mode about playing with a friend or a team in Splatoon 2. I just don't get that vibe at all in Open. Open just feels like a quick play thing that you could just, you know, so happen to play with 4 or 2 or 3 or whatever, but it doesn't give me any similar feeling to League at all right now, and it kind of just straight up sucks. Like, I don't enjoy Open unless I'm playing in a group of 4, and even then, like, again, it can be kind of boring, because if you're just kind of rolling players that are trying to play by themselves because maybe they like the rotation more, or maybe they're a new player, anything like that, it doesn't feel engaging. I don't like it. If I want to play with my friends, it weighs down the whole experience really, really, really hard. Even just scrolling through again my clip of the league scores from 2, you probably saw a few teams that are running kind of gimmicks. Like, I think there was one with 4 juniors, I think there was one with 4 GooTubers. You know, that's pretty fun. The easy 2-hour rotations for every league battle made it really easy to sort of just meme and have fun with your, you know, thematic quad, saying, oh, let's all play the same weapon, let's play the same weapon class, that kind of thing. It was really common in League. You don't see that anymore in Open, like, at all. And it's just, I don't know, like, part of the fun element feels like it's missing, and part of that also just ties into a problem I'm going to talk about in a second with Open. Again, these kinds of, like, meme quads, they exist, you can do it, but I don't think it's really hitting the same, or, you know, it doesn't feel as accomplishing without, you know, having a leaderboard, or, like, actually succeeding and having your power grow up and you end up getting, like, #1 in the rotation with this really stupid set of weapons. Like, that kind of feeling doesn't exist in Open. You kind of just play and then the rotation changes and that's it, and it's just, like, the moment is gone. There's nothing to, like, really go with that or cement that in any capacity. You know, if in Splatoon 2 League, I can literally look up, like, if I remember a specific date or hour or whatever that I had a quad that I had fun in, like, I can look at the leaderboard and kind of, like, be like, oh yeah, I remember that was fun. It doesn't exist in 3. To get into the issue I mentioned briefly before was Splatoon 3. Another thing I hate about Open, that even Turf War gets correct, is if you're playing in an Open, you open a lobby to do that, but you can't even change your gear and weapons as of the current patch. So in order to circumvent that, you have to close the entire lobby, change your weapon or your gear or whatever, and then open the lobby, have everyone join again, and then do that. Like, it's just such a tedious, like, problem that didn't really exist past a point in 2 at all. Like, honestly, just thinking back to Splatoon 2, I think a lot of the really kind of goofy leagues I did with people would happen because, you know, one person's like, I'm gonna go this weapon, they don't say anything, and then the second person also goes that weapon, and then it kind of goes from there. But you can't even really have that accidentally happen anymore, because, like, you're committed once you kind of walk into the lobby and hit A. So it's just, it feels like such a commitment to even play with friends, and then to only have it feel like kind of these really imbalanced sort of sucky matches. Like, it's just not fun. I don't like it. So that's kind of awful, especially when Turf War, again, like, lets you do these things, so why not in ranked battles? Like, why do you have to close the entire lobby to do that? They'll probably fix this in a future patch, I hope so. If they don't, that's awful, but I don't know. It's 4 months into Splatoon 3, and we're missing basic quality of life that existed for years in the game's predecessor, so that's kind of a bit of a nonsensical thing to me. So, okay. I mentioned League medals are kind of the only reward, and, you know, sort of the idea of, I think it's a missed opportunity for 3, so I'm going to kind of go over what I think they could have done with adding League, and then maybe they'll do this in the future with the game, but it's kind of just an idea. In 2, when you played League, the medals and your name on the leaderboards were the only thing you actually got. That's not like a tangible reward or anything like that. But in Splatoon 3, they could have easily made League matches give actual rewards with the introduction of the shell-out machine, or gacha as I like to call it. Because in 2, you could get a bronze, a silver, or a gold medal depending on your performance for the rotation. If you get low enough, I don't think you get any of those, but it's generally really lenient, is the thing. And I think, you know, those kinds of, like, tiers of medals could tie in perfectly for sort of tiers of awards. So, like, you could have it be like, if I get a gold medal, maybe I get 3 free pulls on the machine. Maybe if I get silver, I get 2. If I get bronze, I get 1. Maybe it's only 1 pull, but it's statistically more likely to roll something actually cool if I get a gold medal. I think stuff like that is really good. And I don't know, I really miss playing with friends in a kind of casual, chilling out twin sort of sense, and swapping weapons between games and being kind of goofy, you know, going into a twin, being like, let's both play Dynamo or something, you know? I miss doing that. I can't even do that in 3 without, you know, disbanding the whole lobby, and like, I'm not gonna, you know, sit here and time it, but I'm sure if you'd actually sat there and like, timed it, you know, go from lobby, close the lobby, change your weapon, change your gear, open the lobby, get in the lobby, hit A, like, you're gonna be sitting there for like multiple minutes doing like nothing in what was basically just a menu swap in 2. Like, it's kind of awful. Like, it makes me not want to play the game. Like, I don't know what the deal with that is. It just doesn't feel right to me. And even, you know, with the silliness aside, 4-stack was fun because you could try and go for high league power, and it was kind of like, it felt really competitive to be like, you get really excited when you find a strong opponent, like, oh, we're going for a high XP, and right now we're like 2470, and we have an hour left to play, and then you run into another quad that's like 2560, and then it's like, oh, dude, we gotta try and win this game. Like, that feeling doesn't exist in 3. You don't, even in X rank right now, you don't see the power of a lobby or anything. Like, outside of the top 500 count, you have no idea like what you're actually playing for. Like, nothing feels like tangible at all in that sense. I was talking with friends in our VC recently, and I mentioned a Splatoon 2 league where we played Quad Flings on Albacore and Clan Blitz. And it was really stupid because we were just trying to stall for the 8-minute overtime in Clan Blitz to see the coin flip at the end, because it's just random who wins at that point if no one actually scores. So stuff like that it's really fun, and I mentioned these kinds of memories to them, and another one responded being like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, that's like a repressed memory. And it's kind of depressing because like I've been sitting here playing Splatoon 3 for 4 months, and like I feel like I've like barely had any meaningful experiences with friends in the sense of like open. Like, it doesn't give you that. The way the entire thing is structured just does not feel good. I don't like it. Like, I think League Battle really needs to be in this game. And I don't think the game is capable of replicating that at the moment with only open as the only option to consistently play with your friends in multiplayer. Instead of League, what we ended up getting was X Battles. And those kind of, it's neat for what it is, but it has its own host of issues with forced mirror matches, with weapons, among other things. But again, that's not really the focus of this video. Even then, I think that's kind of alienating a lot of your player base, because for the people who aren't X, they don't really care about this update. It doesn't do anything for them. They can't play there yet. So I don't know, I just like, League is a universal thing. Even in Splatoon 2, I think the cutoff was like you need to be B- in a single mode to start playing League. And like, that's kind of silly in a sense, right? But like, I don't know, just having League there day 1 meant so much for like all levels of players, but like, I think a lot of people just like don't care about X. So it just baffles me that they prioritize putting that in the game, especially now, because I think the game is like a bit poorly balanced at the moment with stuff like Splash being so overtuned. Like, it's weird that they prioritize that over like, you know, actually being able to play with your friends in a meaningful, like, fun way. In an online, like, in a ranked sense. Like Salmon is fine. I enjoy that for what it is, and that, like, I feel like I play with my friends more in that than actual, like, open or anything at this point, just because of the way the game is structured. But if you do want to hear me talk about X and my issues with that after, you know, playing it for like a month or so, I could do that. I know some people on Twitter are complaining about X, not for their XPs or like losing or anything. It's just the whole mirror thing that's like an actual problem. But again, that's not what this video is for. Just let me know if you want to hear about that. But also with the addition of X rank, it kind of sucks, and it makes me sad in a sense, because it feels like all the best players that were playing series before, because it was like the only, like, you know, series was like the way to play before, because again, open kind of sucks. All those players migrated from series to X rank. So series being like kind of the casual way to play ranked, which again, you have to play by yourself unless you just happen to queue into a lobby with a friend. But even then, if their series ends, they have to leave them, and the whole thing's arbitrary. As I'm mentioning, that's a problem. Everything in this game feels really arbitrary. But yeah, if I want to play ranked battles in a more casual sense, that's sort of what League provided, and now that's sort of what series is, I guess. But now series is sort of falling into that problem for me, where it feels like all the really like competitive like people who are better at the game are all playing X, and S-series is kind of like boring. Like, it just feels like I can kind of just sit there for 5 minutes and like nothing happens. Like, it's not really that interesting, and you don't really get any reward for that. Like, I got S plus 59,999 last season, but like it doesn't change the quality of your games or anything, which is like okay, I guess, because it's just like for fun. But I don't know, it doesn't feel meaningful. Like, it just feels kind of boring. So, you know, with series not having the best players anymore, open kind of being like the dumpster fire it is, it kind of feels like you're sort of forced to play X. But like, if you want to just play the game without a number hovering over your head, which I've talked about endlessly on stream, being like, I wish there was more of a like convenient way to play the game without that, it feels like you don't really have options right now, which kind of sucks. So that's kind of the gist of what I wanted to talk about and how I miss League battles, and I really think they need to come back as soon as possible. They said that it will come back, so that's good. I'm sure a lot of the things I've talked about in this video will become less of issues when they actually implement League again. And again, they could implement actual rewards as opposed to just the medals, and I think that'd be really good. But I think on a fundamental level, if it's similar to 2, I'll be pretty happy, and that's pretty much like the gist of what I'm hoping for. But honestly, I'm just sad that it's taking this long when it was in Splatoon 2 from like day 1, I'm pretty sure. We'll see what Nintendo does. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I think it was something that's kind of been eating at me after a few months of playing Splatoon 3 and something that's bugging me, because I really like the game despite all of its issues and flaws, but like I really struggle to overlook the lack of League. It's like I miss playing with my friends in that sense. Like I feel like I don't get to do that anymore, and it's not even like a thing where like they don't want to play with me or anything necessarily. It's more the whole structure of open just leads to an overall worse experience. It's kind of souring the game a bit for me. Relative to 2, where again most of my hours went to League battle, because I think Splatoon, you know, ultimately at the end of the day should be the kind of game you're enjoying with friends. So for this game to be out for 4 months and feel so gimped in that sense feels kind of miserable, and I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, that's kind of all I got. If there's any other topic you want me to talk about in a similar structure to this video, let me know. If I'm interested in it, I'll probably talk about it. But that's all I got for today. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. It's McKean.